I was just talking to somebody about this, and it definitely is a death by a thousand cuts, it feels like, when you're looking at it without the PT sort of tunnel vision, for lack of a better term. And I think one big thing that sort of isn't discussed enough in the industry, which I've learned from working at various different organizations, is the location matters. So many people starting off say, hey, PT school tells me I need to start my own business. There's a place that I can afford. I'm going to open it and let's go. And then they get upset because that is maybe a lower socioeconomic area
Right.
and they're only
Yeah.
doing Medicaid and they're only doing X, Y, and Z. And I think what really could be powerful for people looking to open their own practice or open their next location, maybe, if you look around, there's a reason that the biggest folks in the industry target this strip centers that they do. I had no idea that there's a whole ranking system of strip centers. There's class A, B, C, and D. And certain ones say, hey, we're targeting strip center A because of the stores adjacent. It's a high education, high price. Like that's going to attract our type of patient. And then you see some of these smaller clinics that are wondering why they can't get by. And it's at night. Do people feel safe? If they want to come in after work and they've got to come by there, are they going to feel safe walking to their car? Can
Yeah.
anyone even see you from the side of the
Right.
road? So I think
Right.
that's a great point that I think a lot of people took for granted because they just said, hey, I'm going to open my own practice. I can afford this. Let's go. Instead of maybe the whole crawl, walk, run. Like maybe I start
Right.
as a mobile therapist, then I
Yeah.
sublease space, and then I open my own place instead of jumping straight to the, hey, I'm opening my own space and ending up behind the eight ball because that's when all the death by a thousand cuts start just magnifying and growing even more.
Yeah. I mean, by the way, I love that point about class A, class B, class C. It's, for anybody listening, like just think about the fact that even if you don't know what those terms mean, just imagine Starbucks. When you drive by a Starbucks, you only see them in a certain type of strip mall. That's effectively a class A.
Hmm.
And Starbucks is not dumb. They don't put them behind a building in a warehouse district. By the way, no offense to anybody in a warehouse district, but the business is the business. And if I'm driving my kids to school, the last thing I'm doing is taking 17 turns to go behind a warehouse or whatever. It's a
Yep.
convenience game. And so that's kind of what you're talking about. And I think it's a good point. A lot of people don't talk about that. It's kind of like they're thinking what's best for them when in fact where we are in 2024 now is like you're a consumer business, and you kind of have to act like it.
And then when you overlay that with your Google analytics, you can start seeing where people are coming from. How are they
Yeah.
finding you? And then that really can help inform your next location move. Again, instead of just saying, hey, that's a cheap space that happened to be available, I have to jump into it. It's, well, you haven't had a patient come from that area ever. So you're going to be
Yeah.
starting from scratch just to try and get that clinic up and going instead of there's this one area that you've gotten a lot of good marketing, maybe good relationships with a CrossFit gym, something like that, that can support a second location. So I think that's
Yeah.
just also something to consider too when you start looking into all of this.
If you'd like to learn more about Strata PT and see how our EMR and RCM works, head over to stratapt.com to book a demo.